idea of coming to Pandarpur for Shiv Puja was this, that Shiva represents the spirit, and the spirit is residing in all of you, in your hearts. The seat of Sadashiva is on top of your head, but is reflected in your heart. Now your brain is the Vithala. So to bring spirit to your brain means enlightenment of your brain. Enlightenment of your brain means the limited capacity of your brain has to become unlimited in its capacity to realize God. I will not use the word understand, but to realize God. How powerful He is, how miraculous He is, how great He is. The another is that the brain of man can create, of course, out of the dead. But when the spirit comes into brain, then you create living things, living work of Kundalini. Even the dead start behaving like living because you touch the spirit in the dead. Like the nucleus inside every atom or a molecule has the spirit of that molecule. And if you become your spirit, we can say the brain of a molecule or an atom is like the nucleus, body of the nucleus. But the one that controls the nucleus is the spirit that resides within the nucleus. So now you have got the attention or the body, whole body of the atom, then the nucleus, and inside the nucleus is the spirit. In the same way, we have this body, the attention of the body. And then we have the nucleus is the brain, and the spirit is in the heart. So the brain is controlled through the spirit. How? That around the heart there are 7 auras which can be multiplied into any number, 7 raised to power 1600, which are the ones which watch the 7 chakras raised to power 16,000, sorry. Now this spirit is watching through this aura, watching, I am again saying watching, through this aura is watching the behavior of your 7 centers in your brain, is also watching all the nerves that are working in the brain, watching again. But when you bring the spirit into your brain, then you go 2 steps ahead. Because when your Kundalini rises, she touches the Sadashiva, and Sadashiva informs the spirit. Informs in the sense reflects in the spirit. So that's the first state where the watching auras start communicating to your different chakras in the brain and integrating it. But when you bring your spirit to your brain, this is the second state, then you really become self-realized in the full way. in the full way. Because then yourself, that is the spirit, becomes your brain. Action is very dynamic. It opens then the fifth dimension in the human being. First, when you become realized, collectively conscious, and start raising the kundalini, you cross the fourth dimension. But when your spirit comes into your brain, then you become the fifth dimension, means you become the doer. Our brain now, for example, says, all right, lift this thing up. So you touch it with your hand, you lift it up. You are the doer. But when the brain becomes the spirit is the doer. And when spirit is the doer, then you become a complete Shiva, self-realized. In that state, if you get angry, you are not attached. You are not an attached person to anything whatsoever. If you possess anything, you are not attached. You cannot attach because spirit is detachment. It's complete detachment. You don't bother about any attachments whatsoever. Even for a second, you are not attached. Now, I would say to understand the detachment of spirit, we should study ourselves very well, clearly. How are we attached? We are attached, firstly, by our brain, mostly by our brain. Because all our conditionings are in our brain and all our ego is also in our brain. So, all emotional attachments are through our brain and all our egoistical attachments also are through our brain. That's why it is said that after realization one must try to practice the Shiva Tattva by practicing detachment. Now, how do you practice this detachment? Because we get attached to something, of course through our brain, but through our attention. So we try to do what we call Chitta Nirodh, is to control your attention. Where is it going? In the practice of Sahaja Yoga, you have to rise higher. You have to improve your own instrument and not the instrument of others. This is one thing one should know. For definite. Now you just watch your attention, where is it going? Watch yourself. As soon as you start watching yourself, your attention, you will become more identified with your spirit. Because if you have to watch your attention, you have to be your spirit. Otherwise, how will you watch it? So now see, where is your attention going? First, the attachment is in all gross ways to your body. So we see Shiva, there is no attachment to his body. He sleeps anywhere. He goes to the cemeteries and he sleeps there. Because he's not attached. He can never be caught up by any booths or anything, nothing of the kind. He's detached. The detachment is to be watched and seen through your own attachments. Now, because you are realized souls, not yet, the spirit has not come into your brain, of course, but still you are realized souls. So what you can do is at least to watch your attention, you can do that. You can watch your attention very clearly by seeing where your attention is going. And then controlling your attention also you can do. Very simple. To control your attention, you have to just remove your attention from this to that. Try to change your priorities. All this has to be done now, after realization, a complete detachment. So the body demands comfort. Try to make body uncomfortable a little bit. Try. What you think it to be comfortable, try to make it little uncomfortable. That's why people went to Himalayas. See, coming to this place itself has caused us a lot of problems. But going to Himalayas, you can imagine. So after realization, they used to take their body to Himalayas. All right, go through all this. Let's see how you act. So what you call the penance side starts now. In a way, it's a penance which you can do very easily because now you are realized souls. With enjoyment, little. Try to make this body. For Shiva, it doesn't matter whether he is in a cemetery or in his own Kailasha or anywhere. Where is your attention is, you see, that your human attention is hopelessly bad. Very entangled nonsense it is. We did this because of this. There's an explanation. Or others have to give an explanation. No explanation is needed to be given or to be accepted or to be asked for. No explanation. To exist without explanation is the best way. In a simple Hindi language, Jaise rakhahu taise hi rahu. Whichever way you keep me, I'll remain in that state. And I'll enjoy. Further in this poem, Kabira says, if you make me go on an elephant, means the royal conveyance, I'll go. If you make me walk, I'll walk. Jaise rakhahu, taise hi rahu. So no reaction on that part. No reaction. First, no explanation, no reaction. Now, second is about food. So that's the first seeking human beings had as animals. No attention on food. Whether you have salt or not, whether you have this or that, no attention on food. Actually, you should not remember what you ate this morning. But we think as to what we are going to eat tomorrow. We consume food not for running this body, but for sort of a more satisfaction of tongue pleasures. Once you start understanding that pleasure is a sign of gross attention, any kind of pleasure is a very gross sensationalization. Sensations. Very gross it is. But when I say no pleasures means doesn't mean that you should become serious people and people of sort of as if somebody is dead in your family. But you should be like Shiva. So detached. So the detachment from your limited brain has to be brought in. All limitations of brain should be broken so that when this ocean fills that brain, it should break that little cup. And every bit of that cup should become colorful. The whole atmosphere, everything, whatever you locate should be colorful. Color of the spirit is the light of the spirit. And this light of the spirit acts, works, thinks, coordinates, does everything. This is the reason today I decided to bring Shiva Tattva to the brain. The first procedure is to take your brain towards the Shiva Tattva by telling it, see, where are you going, Mr. Brain? You're putting attention to this, you're putting attention to that. Getting involved now, detach. Become the brain yourself. Only the brain. Detach. And then take this detached brain completely filled with the color of the spirit. It will automatically happen. As long as you will have these limitations to your attention, it will not happen. So one has to really deliberately do this tapasya. Every individual. I'm with you. So you don't need any puja that way. But that state has to be achieved. And for achieving that state, you need the puja. I hope so many of you will become the Shiva Tattvas in my lifetime. But don't think I'm asking you to suffer. There is no suffering in this kind of an ascent. If you understand that this is the complete joy state, that is the time when you become Nirananda. That's the joy named in the Sahasrara. The name of the joy is Nirananda, and you know your mother's name is Nira. So you become Nirananda. So today's worship of Shiva has a special meaning. I hope whatever we do in the outward way, in a gross way, happens also in the subtler way. I'm trying to push your spirits into your brains, but I find it rather sometimes difficult because your attention is still involved. Try to detach yourself. Temper, lust, greed, everything. Try to reduce. Like in food, I told today, Warren, ask them to eat less, not like gluttonous people. You see, once in a while, on a day of big banquet or anything, you eat more, but you can't eat every time like that. It's not a sign of Sajogi. Try to control. Try to control your speech. Whether you express temper in your speech, or you express your compassion, or you are artificially compassionate. Try to control. I know some of you may not do much. It's all right. I'll try to tell you many a times. I'll try to help you. But most of you can do it. And you should try that. So on a deeper level from today we start our Surge Yoga, where some of you may not attain, but most of you should try to go deeper. Everyone. For that you don't need persons who are very well educated or well placed. No, not at all. But people who meditate, dedicate, go deeper, because they are like the first roots which have to reach for others much deeper so that others can follow.